So many times when I started painting, I don't know what I'm going to paint. I sometimes will start a painting when it's a failed painting and I paint on top of it. Sometimes I will use a blank canvas or just start out putting paint down in a very haphazard, maybe risk-taking type of a mood. But what tends to happen are those marks, those intuitive things that I always do on my abstracts. It kicks in. It's like inside me now. And that's what I hope for you. So I hope you enjoy this video this time. Two paintings that I think you'll really like. Good morning. Welcome back to my art studio. If you're new here, my name is Cheryl Wilson. I'm an abstract artist, and I do a lot of demonstrations of painting, smaller paintings, on different mediums, canvas boards, paper. If you're returning, thank you again for continuing to come back to my channel. I really appreciate it. Last week I did a painting on a canvas board, and that's what I'm going to show you today. Here's another one, black and white. I'm actually going to show you two. One where I stopped here, and the next one I actually took it a little bit further and put some stain on it in color. As I mentioned last week, these are great. I think this is like 16 by 20. These are great. I've had these for quite a while, but they're great to put on, like nowadays, a lot of people are putting up shelving and then stacking art, in front of each other, or just laying them on the floor, leaned up against the wall. I especially love abstract when that's done. You can certainly frame these. These are just, they're really handy, very sturdy. And it still has a quality on it of an abstract or a canvas in a way. So that's a lot of fun. So in this one, I started out, as you will see, with a lot of my signature paper. I have like a wooden collage that I use in my artwork. And I started out with that there's no reason why you can't use your signature marks and papers even on smaller pieces. So I wanted to show you this. It's another example of what I feel is an easy piece for those that are learning abstract. If you do realism, it's a way to get into doing abstract. If you're a seasoned abstract painter, there may be some things that I do that may entice you to give it a try. But I wanted to incorporate this one and the next painting for you. Give it a try and see what you think about painting this style. Alright, so again, as I mentioned, this and the next painting are canvas boards. And canvas boards are just like canvas, but they're a little bit, they're sturdy. And there's like a canvas on it. It's quite different than canvas, but it's a lot different than paper. So I'm starting off with just a piece of collage. You can use any collage. This is a signature piece that I use. It has holes in it. And I'm using like a heavy gel or a medium gel, whatever you like, just to glue the pieces on. And I'm at this point not thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just enjoying the process, and I'm using a palette knife, and I'm covering every part of the canvas where the paper is going to, or the collage is going to hit, so that it gets a good coating. And then I'm putting a coating on top. You can let this dry, or you can start to paint on top of it. It's whatever. A lot of times I like to let this part dry, simply because the medium is a little bit like stickier. So it's just a preference thing. I like to use golden a lot because I do sell my artwork. I never know. This piece was done basically as a demonstration for you. It was also done because I felt like painting. I just returned from a trip and I just needed to get back in the studio. So this was done, and whether I sell it or not, I like to use good quality. I also like to use black gesso a lot of times instead of using titanium or black from golden. I'll intermix. I do a lot of golden high flows, but I tend to grab that black gesso. I'm adding this with, and you can see where it got mixed in with some of that gel, but I'm adding this with like a sponge brush. Simply because I had it there, it gives just a nice coverage. And I'm just not really thinking of composition. I'm just adding in different places, going off the edge and leaving some white space on the canvas board. Since this is going to be a black and white, I can't say totally black and white because I do add some gray tones in here. I put some black to the side so I can mix the colors. That is a white paint from Da Vinci. It's like a fluid acrylic. It's not like the fluids from Golden. It's kind of a mixture between their fluid acrylic and a thicker body, and I like it. I'm just adding in some grays. I think the trick at this point is not to be afraid. There's always a jar of white paint somewhere that you can cover up an area that maybe you were too heavy-handed on, so to say. So at this point, take risks. If your soul says, I want to put a mark here, do that mark. I have found many times that the marks that I do when I'm not holding back are the ones that have created the best marks in my painting. I've learned from them. When I hold back because I'm fearful I'm going to mess up my painting, I stay still. I don't grow in my art. And if you don't grow by experimenting and making mistakes and doing things that you think, gee, I could mess this up, you're not experimenting and you're not pushing yourself, and that's when you take your art, it's like who you are starts to come out. Our experiences, in my opinion, are from childhood. I've had many videos about this when we talk about my voice, but they're from my childhood. They're from what I've learned from other artists. They're from basically experimenting things that I've seen that inspired me and taken a chance. When I stay stagnant and I don't take chances, I repeat the same marks over and over again. And one, that's no fun. Two, I don't learn. Like when I took the sponge and I did that circle right there where I'm doing the pencil, I didn't know how that was going to turn out, and yet I like the mark. I found along the way that using, like, this is just a pencil, making those thin marks is something I love in each of my pieces. I would have never known had I not started down a road. Making marks and then rubbing part of the marks out and being creative as to letting people wonder which mark came first. is another thing I enjoy doing as an artist. I wouldn't be repetitive about them had I not learned that that's something. And that came from just experimenting. I could have used a brush to start this painting, but I think using that foam brush there, which I actually, when I was rinsing my brushes and things off from the last painting, I saw them there and I grabbed a couple of them, is giving a much different presence on the painting than a brush would give. So try a foam brush. They're so cheap. You can get them at Walmart. You can get them at Michael's. You can get them on Amazon. Try it because they give a different feeling on the canvas that a paintbrush won't give. So I'm grabbing a tool that it's a trowel that has these tooth marks. It's pretty dirty about now. And I'm just again scraping into the paint to add scrapes and marks. I want something different than the pencil would give me, different than just pulling a palette knife or anything else. So this trowel, even though it's pretty covered with paint, makes some very unique marks. You'll see that circular mark that I did up there where it has the white. You'll see that in a lot of my paintings, especially a lot of my paintings when I first started. And I like that mark. And I like having marks in my artwork that are unique to me. Combined, if you combine them all together, it creates my signature in a lot of the paintings. So I'm thinking I need some thinner lines in the painting. And this just comes from the fact that I like differences. I had thicker lines, very messy looking, and I just wanted to add some more thin lines. And I'm adding the black at the bottom to give some contrast to the bottom of the painting with that black, and just adding random marks through the painting just to bring the eye through the painting. No reason, no compositional reason other than just adding more contrast to different parts of the painting. Any mark that I'm putting here, you may or may not like yourself. Splatters, you may not like splatters or drips. In fact, after I put it on there, I rubbed a lot of it out because it's like my soul was saying, maybe not. And of course, I get my fingernails in. I do a lot. I do have a barrier cream that I put on my hands a lot of times. I don't speak of it a lot because I forget to, but if it bothers you just to have bare hands, you could use a barrier cream in your art. And I have different size pencils that I grab and mark through the paint. And I like what I'm seeing so far. So I let this dry and I started the second painting, which I will show you in a few minutes. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, I probably need to add more dark contrast. So I started out by filling in my little holes in my signature paper that I add. You know, you don't need to have the signature paper. You can just add dots or marks that you like on the painting. And I'm saying, okay, I need some more. So what are some of the things that I normally like? I like writing words in my paintings. So you'll see me add words. I like big shapes. I'm looking at this and I'm thinking I probably need to add a big shape. I like circular and I like it to be very loose and random. So you'll see that my shape that I just added is very loose and random. It's not a perfect circle. And I'm adding some pencil marks in there. Why I put that there, because if you talk about the rule of thirds, where if you divide it into thirds, should that have been in a different spot, I have I guess a grouping of things kind of like the rule of thirds there. So moving it down to the bottom doesn't bother me. I think with composition, it's important to understand it, but it's also important not to let it totally rule you if you feel like making a mark somewhere. You can always go back and look at the painting and change it. So I turned it upside down, and for me, this really kind of changed if you want to look at composition. So I wanted to add what finalizes my painting for me, and that's just writing in the painting. So I always write the word emotion. Most of the time I write it backwards, so you'll see me write it again at the bottom here in black backwards. I put that word in almost all my artwork. I started this, I think I just like the letters. So I hope you enjoyed this painting. I thoroughly enjoyed creating it, and here's a snapshot of it after it's completely dry, and I will sign it. And I love the different markings in it. I love how I turned it upside down in the end. It kind of gave it more balance for me. And I love using the sponge brush on this one, which I haven't done that in a while. So let's go to the next one. On this painting, I thought I would just turn on some soft music. If you don't like the music, feel free to turn it down. It's not going to hurt my feelings because I won't know you did anyway. But I thought I would turn on some music I like. And a lot of what I'm painting is using the same foam brush, a lot of the same techniques. I'll pop in later because on this one I decided to add some color. Just, it was what the painting was telling me it needed. So I have this in double speed, if you haven't been able to tell, because a lot of this was like repetitive type marks. And I'm going in now with some of my marks, just using a pencil, writing the words backwards. And I mentioned that a lot of times I write the word emotions. Sometimes I write different things. I do like to do the circle, black circle with the like circular marks in there. I do that a lot. And at this point, I'm drying it off because I'm going to take a look at it. I like it, and I could keep going with some more of the black and white and grays and bring in different marks on it. But at this point, I'm looking at it, and you'll see I'm going to start to add some collage, and then I go ahead and add in some of the color. And that was just, a feeling that I had. I didn't start out thinking I was going to add color. It just ended up being that way. So what I'm using there was a spatula. It was like an actual kitchen spatula. And then I'm writing in some more with a pencil. Being wet paint, because that's new wet paint, it's not going to leave a charcoal mark. It's just going to leave scratch marks. So I'm looking to see, should I add some collage? And there was a paper there that I added circles on, and there's that signature wooden collage that I add in a lot of my paintings. I thought, well, maybe I'll add that in. So I'm still in a play mode. I still don't have any particular reason why I might want to add these two pieces in, other than I like that wooden with the holes in it. I like that wooden piece. I like to add that into my art. It sometimes shows up in the end very prominently. Other times you won't even notice that I've done it. So I'm going to just sit back again and let you watch me create, without talking. Turn on some of your own music if you want. But at this particular point, you'll just see me start into adding some color. I did want to pop in here and remind you, this was in the last video. This is the quinacridone gold, and that's like a Hansa yellow. If you look at the bottles of your paint, and I'm using golden high flows, you'll notice you can see where it's transparent or opaque paint. And I chose, it's kind of like a wash over top, like a staining. I chose to use the paint that was transparent. And then that is the spray paint that is the water base, so you can smell it, and it's not going to bother you when you spray it. And when you spray on the spray paint and you dab on the top, it leaves a very unique mark underneath, which I like. It's almost like a matte mark. It's totally different than when you use paint and you dab it. It comes out totally different. So I'm again just playing with some of my traditional black marks, seeing where it takes me. So I'll let you just watch me create. So the rest of the painting is me just looking. So if I look at the painting right here, for me it's lacking something. So I'm asking myself, what do I might need? Maybe some smaller lines, since I have a lot of the same paintbrush. So I added some spray paint and added some smaller lines by scratching. And I'm thinking, what else? Well, maybe a blue line at the bottom and up there to pull the eye, because that blue is kind of like the blue and the black are kind of dominant colors. Even though the painting has a lot going on, it helps bring the eye through the painting. And I added more of the smaller scratches. And then I'm asking, okay, well, do I need to counterbalance that with some more white? I love to add white and black in my paintings. So I grab a brush and hold it at the very tip with some high flow white and just scribble through again some white. And I'm finding, yeah, that's what I think it needed. And it's just a feeling that you have. You get used to what marks in your painting you like. And I didn't like those dots being so dominant. That's why I dabbed them out. You get used to what you like and what you feel the painting needed. Like the painting talks to you. So I put the two paintings side by side, actually opposite of how I might display them, but they're abstract, so they can be either way. And I hope you can see there's a lot of similarities between the two. The repetitive thought of having your own marks that you use over and over again, especially when you get like in a stuck part of the painting. Using some maybe collage papers that you hand make that you put in all your pieces of art. Marks that you use over and over again, like my word emotion. You can make your art yours. And I enjoyed creating these two paintings for you. And again, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love for you, especially if you've never like left a note for me, I'd love to know more about you. But those that continue to leave me a message, thank you so much. That's why I keep going. Doing YouTube videos is difficult. It's a lot of work. It's sometimes 3 days out of the week for me to create one video. And I do it for you. I don't have a lot of repetitive, I don't say repetitive, I'm not a large channel. And I do this for those that keep coming back and those that are learning something from me. And because you know what, ultimately in return, I learn from you all. I learn patience, I learn love, I learn gratitude. So if you've made it to the end, I'd love for you to leave the word love or gratitude in the comments. So I know that there are a few of you that might listen to the very end. That would mean a lot to me.